How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews back with some barrel-aged collab hopeful goodness, courtesy of my boy Jerome, in the form of Collective Arts Brewing and Siren Craft Brewing. It's Origin of Darkness. This be a rum barrel-aged Baltic style porter with raisins, dates, and prunes. Some of my favorite flavors when it comes to beers. Dates, prunes, figs, raisins, all that kind of stuff is typically what you get from an aged, malty, barley wine-esque porter kind of stouty kind of beer with a decent amount of age on it. So if you can fake that funk, if you will, I will be a very happy camper. That being said, I believe I reviewed one other Collective Arts Baltic Porter that was barrel aged, and I was not a fan. So I'm kind of curious to see where this one lies. Okay, label-wise, I love this label. It's just classic, silver on kind of blackish, grayish background, but this kind of kookily drawn kind of whale. Reading the book, little jellyfish kind of hanging out with them. I don't know. The art design behind that is absolutely fantastic. It reminds me of like weird kind of children's books when I was a child, so I dig on that. As far as what it says on here, it says the Origin of Darkness project is a collaborative effort with our brewing friends from around the globe. The mission, to infuse terroir into premium barrel-aged brews by including ingredients that are representative of each brewer's homeland. So you're talking about Siren Brewing. I'm almost positive they're based out of England. If not, they're somewhere in Europe. So you're talking about raisins, dates, and prunes. I assume maybe some of those come from that area. We'll see what's what. 9.6% alcohol by volume. Done. That looks like a barrel-aged dark beer. Not much of a head to be had. Had a little bit of kind of khaki-colored head that dissipated relatively quickly. Now it looks like really dark iced tea or cola. So yeah. Let's see if we can give it a swirl. Give it a nose. I mean, the rum barrel is readily apparent. I mean, you get that rich kind of sweet. It's not like a Jamaican rum, though. It's not like a buttery rum. It's more just like a straight kind of rum. Placebo effect here. I'm getting tannic kind of tea vibes off of this sucker. So I don't know if it's me calling it like an iced tea look, but I'm getting like a tannic, like cold pressed, cold iced tea kind of vibe off it, which comes off pretty cool. I'm getting a maltiness that has a little bit of the attributes of all the fruits that are listed on here. You're talking about your figs, your raisins, those kind of things. But prunes. Actually, it's probably more prunes. Now looking at it, I don't know if that's power of suggestion, but there's this, and I was going to say, I don't know where it's coming from. There's almost like, not a sour, not tart, but kind of fruit tarty component to it that I probably would attribute a lot to prunes. I haven't had them in quite some time, but smelling it now and just thinking about it, kind of smells like a prune. Not necessarily in a bad way. The problem I have with this beer is, and while I'm saying that, I'm actually rethinking this statement, but I'm going to complete it, is that it doesn't smell a lot like beer. It smells a lot like the adjuncts. It smells like the fruits, the dried fruits that I've thrown in here. It smells like that rum barrel. The reason why I'm rethinking my own statement is that if this is a Baltic porter and it's a lagered porter, it makes all the sense because it ends up coming off a little bit kind of clean and crisp. It doesn't have that rich, super density to it, which is what you'd expect if it's a lagered Baltic porter, as opposed to that's the thing. When you're talking about lager ale, it's pretty clean delineation between the two. Baltic porters is where it gets a little bit fuzzy. So some people do Baltic porters that aren't lagered. Some people do Baltic porters that are lagered. So it's hard to tell which one's which when it comes to it. But smelling this, I'm assuming this is lagered, which kind of makes me think a little bit different about the beer. So yeah, all those adjuncts come through in spades. The beer is there. If it's lagered, it makes all the sense in the world. It's not super impactful. Might change in the taste. Let's dive in. Cheers. Ooh, it's spicy. Very spicy. Is that spiced rum? It's more like hops than anything else. So, I mean, it does taste like a relatively thin Baltic porter. That is to me, what traditional lagered Baltic porters taste like. Your Hoogstraten Puder, those kind of ones really do come off a little bit lighter, a little bit thinner, nothing super robust. There's still a maltiness to it. There's still a richness, nice caramel component to it. And then get over the top. I mean, that's your lager coming into play there. And that's what I'm getting here. The cool part about it is there's a spicy component. I don't think it's overly spicy. I just didn't expect it. Hence my kind of reaction to it. There's a coffee component to this that is bizarre because I didn't expect the last thing I expected from a lagered, what I assume is a lagered Baltic porter with those ingredients and a rum barrel was coffee, you know, but I'm getting that in here. So I'm getting that spicy coffee component. I'm getting that prune leaning fruits. You're talking raisins, dates and prunes. You're kind of, I mean, maybe not dates, but I can see that you're kind of dealing with the same thing. Raisins and prunes aren't far removed from each other. You know, you're talking about dates too. Similar, but not entirely different. So it's giving you that slightly tart kind of raisin pruniness in there. The rum barrel's present. It's not hot by any stretch of the imagination. Super drinkable. A little bit sticky on the lips. Lets you know you're drinking something that something that mouthfeel and that body kind of misses. I like this. It's not blowing me away. It's not like viscerally like cool. I'm not like, oh my god, this is just amazing. Like, but there's something about it. Something about the subtlety of the beer. It's weird because it's a high EBV rum barrel aged subtle beer, if that makes any sense. And there's something about the subtlety of all the flavors in here that kind of really turned me on. Yeah, I don't know I can't tell you what it is about this beer that I dig. I assume it's a good beer, at least a good beer for me. Yeah, something about it. It's a big beer, but drinks small. It's a hefty beer, but drinks not thin, but drinkable. There's no coffee beer there, but there's coffee in there. It's interesting. And interesting beers typically end up being some of my favorite beers, especially when I turn the camera off. Because I do like two to four beer reviews in a session. And I shut the camera off and I take all the beers out. And the ones I want to drink, I drink to till I'm finished. I might sit with this one a little bit longer than usual because I think there is more to be had from this beer. And I don't know what it is. This is one of the beers I would like to drink over an hour on a video. But I don't do that. And that's not what I do, so take it for what it's worth. So let's cut to the chase here, because I don't think there's much else for me to say now. Not necessarily that there's not much else left to this beer, but it comes off as a lagered Baltic porter for me. It's not super impactful, not that I expect it to be as a lagered Baltic porter, but when you start adding those components of those dates, of those raisins, of those prunes, it adds a fruit component that's really cool. It doesn't elicit age, which is what I wanted it to do. But it has this kind of cool fruit component that I'm not used to in beer, which is kind of cool. The rum barrel adds a spirit and rich component to it. There's a spiciness throughout the beer. I don't know if that's coming from the rum. And I don't know if that's a hop component. Wherever it's coming from, I appreciate it. But that rum just adds this kind of roundness, this little bit of flabbiness, this little bit of body that I think the beer itself lacks. And just hefts the beer up just slightly enough to make it not thin. It's not a thick beer. It's not a dense beer. It drinks a little bit thin, but it could be much thinner, I think, without that rum barrel involved. The carbonation is nice for a barrel-aged beer, and just, I like it. I don't know why. Let's put it that way. Here, I should, too long didn't read. I like this beer. I don't know why. There you go. Isn't one of the better Baltic porters I've had as of late, barrel or otherwise? Sure. I don't know. Yes, I don't know why. Bagging availability? No idea. I think you can get Collective Art stuff bottled like this around here. Jerome, let me know what's what, and leave you with, if you like what we like this, if you like Baltic porter, a lagered Baltic porter, Schwarzbier, all those kind of beers, but you want to taste something that's barrel aged, but you also like dried fruits, then you'll like this beer. I don't know. I like it. You might not like it. I have no guidance for you here. Done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little beer you like right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.